What's good, everybody? Jack and Lockie here from the Hardwood Rundown podcast. You're watching episode number 5 of The Return. Today, we will be covering two bottom third teams in their respective conferences. In the Bulls and the Pelicans, both have an exciting season coming up. Obviously, off-season additions. These teams are kind of related as obviously Lonzo Ball left Pelicans, obviously, to join the Bulls. They have some sort of relationship there. The Pelicans had a decent draft, looking to kind of back up their poor season last year. Obviously, a new head coach coming in. Not the best turnout from last season, considering there was a lot of injury absences and just a bit of poor play from their role players. But I think we should start with the Pelicans and we'll go to the Bulls next. Let's see what you got.
Pelicans. Both teams had like the same record last year, 31-41. I see the Pels. I don't really see much because in terms of big moves, they basically swapped Lonzo for Devontae Graham. And like they're complete different player. Devontae Graham's an offensive, more of like a scorer. Less of a passer, and then you got Lonzo, which is more of a passer. But I see Graham working a bit better in New Orleans, because Ingram's like he'll get his 25, 30 points, but like he's not a forcey issue. I guess I haven't seen him to be that player. So having another guy who can put up like 20 a game, I think that will improve their wins. I only see him going from 31 to 33. But we'll see. I go sneaky star. I got Nikhil Alexander Walker. Him throughout the years, he's like improved every year. He's polished his scoring, and he's become like a real solid like combo guard. I wonder if he gets a start this year where they could fit him. If not, he's a perfect option off the bench. Impact player, I got Josh Hart. Basically all around the court, he does like everything. He's one of the best rebounding guards in the league. He can even play the three as well. He's improved his scoring. I'd like to see him get to like 16 this year. I don't think he will. He'll be like a solid like 12 points a game player for his career, and that's pretty solid. And also now like Garrett Temple, assuming he gets minutes, I think he's going to be really good impact play. He's at his time is Brooklyn and in other teams as well. I have seen him to be like he's become that veteran now, especially in Brooklyn. He was a bit of a veteran when they had that playoff run with like Karis LeVert. It's like before like KD and that. I think he was definitely important in that. Team MVP, it's Brandon Ingram. That's pretty simple.
Really?
You think it's gonna be Zion?
Yeah, facts for sure.
Yeah, I say Zion if he like expands his bag, like you know what I mean, like not just at the rim. Like he can shoot, like he's not completely incompetent. But assuming he has an expected improvement, then yeah, Zion could definitely be the team MVP. But I'll go Ingram for now. Rising star, Josh Hart. I hope he can. I really want him. I really like Josh Hart. I really like how he plays, and I want him to like get his respect a bit more around the league. And he's steadily improved each season, so we'll see. I'm hoping for like 15, 16 points a game, and he's a decent passer, so I'd like to see them assist numbers go up. But yeah, that's what I got. I say they'll like losing Lonzo is like a bigger loss than they think throughout the years, because that core of Lonzo, Ingram, and Zion, assuming they stay together, they could in the next couple of years could have been one of those, like I guess I wouldn't say top 4 in the rest, but like between 4 to 8 seeds, and definitely compete in playoffs. But yeah, they're still building. I have a weird idea that this might be the year either Ingram or Zion are thinking like, I want to get out of here. I feel like they are guys who are. I think Zion's a bit more patient. I feel like Ingram doesn't want to be stuck on a losing team. That's just my opinion.
Yeah.
And yeah, this or next year might be the year where either of them are like, yeah, we want to get out of here. But bold take.
Yeah, it's a bold take, but like I can kind of see it happening.
Yeah. But yeah, that's Pelicans for me.
All right. Yeah, so obviously bottom third of the conference with 31 wins, like you said, a great year from Zion, 27-7. Kind of just a cheat code around the basket. He can finish in so many different ways. The one question I have is like, does Ingram actually work with Zion? Because like, I think they're two guys that just need the ball in their hands, and two young guys that have. Well, I think Zion is quite. I think Brandon Ingram's got a bit of an ego about him, and I feel like that doesn't work with a player like Zion, who is the star, like the franchise player. And obviously Ingram didn't have a great year. Numbers down from his first year in New Orleans, but I think he was injured for a bit of it. Yeah, so I'm not sure if it exactly works. I'm not sure about the concept of two ball dominant forwards.
Yeah,
in the West who are trying to win, who doesn't have an amazing team around them. But yeah, obviously they had Eric Bledsoe and Lonzo last year. I still can't believe they let Lonzo walk. If I was them, I would have matched it. But I think there might have been something going on in that front office where it fell apart.
Yeah.
He obviously a poor year from Bledsoe, who didn't play many games anyways. Lonzo showed a lot of promises like that prime 3-and-D half-court player, but in transition he's more of a playmaker. He gets the ball out, he can rebound, he can lob it to Zion. Well, now in Chicago, which we'll get onto later, obviously has great pairings there too. Stan Van Gundy, not the greatest coaching choice. I think that was a waste of a year because they know that Stan Van Gundy is a defensive-minded coach, and you have a team that wasn't very defensive-minded. You obviously had Steven Adams, who was the anchor in the paint. You had Zion, who was great around the rim. You had Lonzo, who was a great defender. But when it came to actually putting in effort on the defensive end, I just don't think it was there, and that was probably the demise of their record. Yeah, I just don't. I can't really remember who their coach is this year. What? How did I forget that?
They made a change, yeah.
Yeah, they did make a change.
You know what, bro? I forgot that. I didn't even know that Zion had it at 27 last year. I'm not even kidding.
That's like no one knew about it,
bro. Then I might change it to Zion because he's probably gonna. Yeah. I didn't.
Willie Green.
Even know.
Willie Green's their coach this year, who I honestly forgot about, but is actually a good coach because he's a player development coach, and he's young and he can relate to players. He just came out of the league. Like, I think it's a promising move, bringing in a young coach who kind of understands the NBA game. And not saying that Stan Van Gundy doesn't, but he's a very demanding coach. And for a young team like that, I don't think it worked. Obviously, it worked in Orlando until obviously later parts where Dwight wanted out. But yeah, I think Willie Green's a good coaching pick, especially for the young core that they have. Obviously, minus Lonzo now, insert Devontae Graham. Not sure how it'll work. I think they'll lose a lot of defensive presence.
Yeah. And
for a team that's trying to make the playoffs in the West, you just need defensive presence. Obviously, it didn't work last year though. But I think that was more effort-wise, and a lot of egos going around. Okay, let's get to the nitty-gritty shit. Wins, I've got 35 or more. It's kind of like it's probably the cap would be probably 40 wins. But that's if the chemistry's there, if they play as a team, if their effort's there defensively. I can honestly see them getting below 30 wins. There's such a hard team to pick because they're so young. You've got Zion, who's obviously probably going to average 30 next year. I honestly wouldn't be surprised. They're just a hard team to pick in terms of wins. Rising star, I've got Nickeil Alexander-Walker. I just think he's got so much upside, and he'll probably be that two guard. I think it'll go Devontae Graham, Nikhil Alexander Walker, Brandon Ingram, Zion, and then Jonas Valanciunas.
Yeah.
Most improved, I've gone Brandon Ingram. I think it's his year that he's just gonna really show up. Because in his first year in New Orleans, he was really good, and then he obviously had the dip. But most times when the player has the dip, they rise up again. I think he'll average around 26, 27.
Yeah.
And really put his mark on the league as like that up and coming scorer. And most improved, I've also gone Nikhil Alexander Walker again. I just think he's going to have a great year. Not much pressure around him because he's like a sneaky player. Like he doesn't fill the box score a lot, but he's basically that player that doesn't have box score stats, but he can have 15 points a game, 6 assists, 4 rebounds. Like he's just that. He's a sneaky stat sheet stuffer. Team MVP, I've gone Zion for obvious reasons. That is like I just think he's a cheat code.
Yeah.
And like you said before, one of the players eventually is going to ask out. But like if I'm the Pelicans, you have to put it's the same with Dame in Portland. Like you're one of the very few teams in the league that has a superstar in your team. I'm not saying Zion's a superstar yet, but he in a year or so he will be one of the best players in the league. I just have a feeling about it. And I'm doing everything I can to make him happy. I'm getting the players he wants around him. I know that's a lot of pressure for a 21-year-old.
Yeah.
But he's the future of this league, the future of your franchise, and you need to do everything you can to surround that man with enough talent for him to stay in New Orleans. I just think it's a big thing for them because I just think he's too good to just have him request a trade and you've really got no choice.
Yeah.
Although I think David Griffin, the GM, is kind of like a hard-nosed GM, and I think he'll just say, no, I'm not letting you go, you're staying here. But obviously his rookie deal's up in a bit, I think.
20.
You've really got to.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, you've really got to make sure that he's happy. You've given him what he wants. Hell, if he wants Brandon Ingram traded,
yeah,
you have to do it because you can actually get good pieces back for Brandon Ingram. But Brandon Ingram's that type of guy that's going to be in those deals where you're going to get another star back, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And but also Brandon Ingram's not the type of player that you want to trade away for future assets, and you want now pieces for your team. And I don't know, who knows. They obviously have a plan, but so I haven't gone sneaky star, gone impact player like you always do.
Yeah.
Jonas Valanciunas. I think he's going to affect the team a lot in a lot of positive ways. He's a 2020 guy. He can stretch the floor at times when needed. He can bang it inside. Pause. He's a great post player. I just think he's going to work well with Zion because obviously Steven Adams was more of that paint presence, and it kind of made offense a bit stagnant at times because you've obviously got two inside players like Zion and Steven Adams. But I think having Jonas Valanciunas, who can kind of stretch the floor in much better than Steven Adams, anyways. And he's a better playmaker. He's good in the pick and roll. I just think he'll help them win those close games that need to be won. And will they contend for the playoffs? Maybe. I think it all depends on health. But in the West, it's kind of the same. It actually is kind of similar to the Timberwolves. Whereas if they were in the East, they'd be an 8th or 7th seed. But because they're in the West, it's more of a 10, 11 seed again. I don't know. It depends on health. They obviously need to win 45 games if they want to make the playoffs. And I don't know if that'll happen. You'll have to have crazy years from your two stars. But yeah, not too sure. The Pelicans are a very hard team to pick.
Yeah.
I just think there's a bit of ego there, and I'm just not sure if it's going to work or not.
From Ingram,
from Ingram. Yeah. I don't know. With that being said, let's get to the Bulls. Lockie's going to start the Bulls off for us again.
Very excited for the Bulls.
Yeah,
I think everyone is. I see them improving by 12 wins. I don't think they're playing around at all.
Yeah,
I
nice.
see Lonzo and DeRozan getting out of situations where they're not happy for a multitude of reasons, and they're going to realize, okay, we actually have a chance to compete for a playoff spot, and not just like fringe, like 7 or 8. Like they had the chance to um, compete for something like much bigger. I still think 43 wins can like limit them. Like I feel like they get to like the 4th seed maybe, but with how competitive the East is getting, I feel like that's like we were talking before the episode, but like 5 to 8 seed,
Mm.
and they should take that because, um, yeah, again, it's how you show up in the playoffs, and I think they've got a really hungry team. Sneaky star, honestly, you kind of go with a bunch of players. I was thinking Kobe White. His minutes are going to go down a bit, and he's not going to start as much. He started most of last season. But him off the bench, either him or Caruso, I think can be that sneaky star. Gets like plenty of energy and really skilled like combo guards. Impact player, I got to say his name, Ryan Archie Diacono. I know,
Really?
yeah, I know. There's like not much minutes at the guards, but based off what I watched last season, he's full of hustle. He's like a really skilled player. Doesn't give up like on any side of the floor. If he gets minutes, I feel like he can be an impact player. But assuming how minutes go, I'm looking at like probably Caruso because he was that player. He was that impact player in LA for a championship team. So you can't go wrong with that. Team MVP, I've got Levine. DeRozan is over time, I guess. Well, actually, I wouldn't say better player, but I'd say he's more of a well-rounded star. But he'll fit very nicely in that like second spot, that second option. Um, and then rising star like Patrick Williams, that's probably same for you. And I'm wondering if Troy Brown Jr. will get some minutes. I
Nice.
liked him in Washington.
Mm.
Um, I don't think he has a huge ceiling, but he can still be like a pretty productive forward. Um, I've got. I worry about them being a bit like weak defensively inside Vucevic. There's no question as to like why I worry about that because yeah, he's not great defensively, but offensively he's one of like the most skilled bigs in the league in terms of he can work in any offense. So even if you've got Lonzo, DeRozan, and Levine out there, he complements all of them because he can hit the three, he can hit the mid range. He's great in the mid range. He can make his own plays inside. And like, say if Lonzo's off, DeRozan becomes that point forward with Levine. There's more touches for Vucevic down low. He can kind of work in any offense. So I'm keen to see how he goes. And yeah, I just say, I say DeRozan will play like a point forward when Lonzo's out or like Levine is out. And then I guess when I guess he has opportunity for more touches, I reckon he'll operate in the post like a lot more this season. Because his past
Mm.
years in the Spurs, he's had the ball in his hand and he's been kind of running the offense a lot, but he
Yeah.
doesn't really need to do that with Lonzo and Levine. I want Tony Bradley to get more minutes because he's a better defender than Felicio, and they need that particularly. And Lauri Markkanen, I have no idea where he's going to fit. Can he be a good 6-man? Can he be I don't know. I assume they're going to trade him. I'd love for him to be the 6-man and play a Ryan Anderson role, like
Yeah.
just the way he did in New Orleans. Put up like 16 to 20 points, but I assume he's going to be traded. So yeah, 43 wins.
Mm. All right. Yeah, I honestly forgot about Laurie Marketing.
Yeah,
I would think like Golden State would be a good fit, and they've also got a lot of young pieces that they can actually trade as well. I think they're one of the big teams in the league that actually have like really good young pieces that can be put in trade packages, and I
yeah,
think he'd fit really well because stretch fours have always fit well in that system.
Mm.
So yeah, obviously bottom third again in the conference. They traded for Vucevic last year, which kind of gave him another all-star to pair with Levine. And at the time, it was really good, but obviously they couldn't make that playoff push. What are you smiling at?
No, I heard dad in the background.
Bet.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so obviously Bulls fans were asking for a long time. Let's get another All Star in Chicago, and they did that, but they couldn't make that final run to kind of push for the playoffs. They were actually in that kind of 10-9 seed to really push for that 8,
Mm.
but just couldn't get it done in the end. Injuries kind of hurt them as well. The questionable number 4 pick in Patrick Williams actually turned out really good. He's got a high upside. He's very athletic. He's great defensively. He can stretch the floor. He's a bit of a Swiss Army knife. He's pretty good. He's good at it, a little bit of everything.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's kind of what a team like Chicago really need. Which is actually they've got DeMar now as well, so they've got 2 Swiss Army knives that can kind of do a bit of everything. As
Mm.
actually Lonzo as well. Like there's 3. They've got 3 Swiss Army knives in their team.
Mm.
In their starting lineup alone. Obviously, that Kobe White had a good second year, averaging 15. Thad Young, veteran presence to help the young guys, who's obviously now in San Antonio, which is actually a really good fit for him too.
Mm.
I've got them at 44 plus. I think that's enough to be like the bottom half of the playoff seeding. Anything above there will probably get you a playoff spot.
Mm.
And that is definitely where I see them. I see them more like a 7-6, 8 at worst. I don't think they'll miss the playoffs because I think the team's just gonna work so well together. Rising star going Pat Will. I just think he's really the only choice.
Mm.
You could obviously pick Kobe White, but he'll probably be coming off the bench. He will come off the bench, so he's
Yeah.
not going to get enough minutes to kind of. But I think he'll be good as a 6-man.
He'll be so
'cause
solid.
he can just come on and score.
Yeah.
And that's probably what he's more like. Being the starting point guard pair with Zach LaVine in the backcourt. There's no defense there. It's all scoring.
Mm.
A lot of ball to go around. Most improved, I've gone Lonzo. I just think he's just gonna shine. I just think the past few years he's been ridiculed for not living up to the hype, which was probably built more so from his dad.
Yeah.
But yeah, I see him coming into his bag and really showing the league what he's got and telling them basically, I'm here. Fuck what you'll think. I'm going to show up and show out, and I think Lonzo's that type of player that's just going to shut everyone up. He could easily average like 20 a game. I don't think he will because there's a lot of star power there.
Yeah.
But he could easily average with the team around him. He could easily average 12 assists. Like there's just his stat lines are his stats are unpredictable, but he's just going to be that player that's just going to be too damn good. Team MVP. If this was 5 years ago, I'd pick DeMar DeRozan, but I've got Zach LaVine. I said either of them.
Yeah.
DeMar's the leader, but Zach LaVine's the star. I think that's the two. I think that's kind of why it works out well because there's not a lot of pressure on Zach LaVine now that DeMar's there to lead a team. I just think they'll work really well together. Yeah. And I think DeMar DeRozan, like you said, is going to be that point. Ever since he's been in San Antonio, he's built himself as more of a point forward. And I think that's really valuable to a team like Chicago who have basically Vucevic, who's a scorer, Levine, who's a scorer, and Lonzo, who's kind of turned into a 3D, who is a 3D guard. I think he mixes well. I think the pick and roll is going to be really good. I just think there's a lot of star power there, and their bench is they've got some bench depth now. They had a really good offseason, acquiring some young pieces through the draft and through free agency to come off the bench and really like impact the game. Sneaky star going Alex Caruso and Kobe White, who actually will miss the first few weeks of the season, which lets Ayo Dosunmu, I don't even know how to say it properly, draft pick out of Illinois, to really shine as that kind of backup point guard and really just kind of come in for the first few weeks and just show the league what he's got. 6'5", so he's a big guard. I think it'll work out good. Impact player going Alex Caruso. I just think it's going to work out. He'll have the same kind of role as he did in LA. And yeah, Tony Bradley, I forgot about that. I think, yeah, he's got to get some more minutes. I think he'll be that defensive anchor off the bench, kind of like Daniel Gafford was when he was
Yeah.
there. Laurie Markkinen, like I said before, I think they got to package him
Yeah.
and send him somewhere. I'm not sure where.
Warriors seems like a perfect
Warriors seems like the perfect fit in
Yeah.
my eyes.
That's
Or
yeah.
even Portland works.
Yeah.
Like if I'm Portland, I would want to get a package deal going if I'm trying to convince Dame to stay. I think anywhere Larry Markkinen goes is like a fresh start.
Yeah.
And that's what he asked for. He's like, I'll go anywhere. I don't care. I just need a fresh start.
Yeah.
New York. Like there's so many spots.
Yeah.
He could honestly land anywhere. But yeah, I've got them as a 5 to 8 seed. I really don't think there's any question there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a landing spot because you obviously got the top 4 teams. You got Miami, you got Philly, Milwaukee, Boston, Indiana's coming up now. Again, who else we got? Chicago.
Heat are still there. Hawks are still there.
Yeah. Hawks, New York,
Hornets.
Brooklyn, Charlotte. Like there's a lot of competition there.
Yeah.
I think the Hornets will miss the playoffs by B's dick. I just think there's a lot
good
of
joke.
Yeah. No, I just think yeah, there's a lot of good teams in the East now, and it's rising. It's going crazy. You got star powered teams in the top 4, and then obviously the bottom 8. You probably got Atlanta, New York, Indiana, Washington now, Cleveland. Kidding. The Bulls,
East are really exciting.
Yeah, East are exciting. I will be watching a lot of Bulls basketball this coming season. I won't be watching much of New Orleans. No. Any final thoughts on the teams?
Good work, Bulls front office.
Great.
They haven't handled Levine well, especially like Jim Boylan as a head coach. That didn't work out. There's been a bunch of issues there, but a really good job from the front office. Whether they can sustain it, we don't know, but they've made some really they probably made the best moves this free agency. Maybe up there with the Lakers, but they've made probably the best moves this free agency to keep their star happy and actually put together a playoff team. So yeah, good on the Bulls.
Yeah, good on the Bulls, 100%. Pelicans, on the other hand, not too sure. They're very unpredictable.
Yeah.
Their picks were actually hard to make because I honestly didn't know. I didn't know where to start. I didn't know what they were going to do, how the team's looking. I don't know if it's regressed from last year. Like maybe it's got better. Like they're just too hard to not talk about, but predict their upcoming season.
Yeah.
Next episode, I think we've got got
Hornets,
Spurs and Hornets.
Yeah.
That'll be a good episode. We're starting to get into the nitty gritty good teams now. I'd say this episode was probably the best one by far because they're actually fun to talk about. Stay in tune with all our content. We're trying to. I think we do 3 videos a week now, which is really good. Keeping up that consistency, which we were kind of lacking a bit at the start. Appreciate you guys listening. For those who are, you can find us on Spotify and Apple Music. I actually need to link that. I need to link those into the channel, into the description, so it's kind of a bit easier for you guys to navigate and all that. Thanks for watching, guys. You just watched episode 5. Episode 5 of The Return. We'll see you next time. Let's go.